All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're talking with Theresa, and she's going to be telling us about, well, they've come down and purchased property here in Costa Rica, and they are homesteading. So we're going to talk about what homesteading is, talk about the area that they're living in, how their overall transition went, and hopefully can just provide some information for other people who are thinking about doing the same thing down here in Costa Rica. And also to talk about an area that's definitely a lot less talked about in Costa Rica on the internet and online. So thanks for being here today. I'm really excited that we get to have this chat and I can catch up with you to see how everything's gone since your move and how things have progressed.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So you want to just tell me like how everything went for you, kind of what your guys' journey has been like so far since you moved?
Sure. We came down at the end of November last year, and we didn't have a really big plan. We had decided we were going to be retiring in Costa Rica at some point, but we didn't have a solid plan. We were going to come down and do some exploring and check things out. Plans changed in around February and became more solid. We decided we were definitely going to stay, and we checked out quite a few areas of the country. There were a few that were on our list. When we first decided on Costa Rica, it actually never even made the list when we were thinking about our retirement options because my husband hates heat, right? So Central America didn't even come up in the ideas when it was like, where do we want to retire to? But at some point, he accidentally came across information that there were temperate zones in Costa Rica, and it suddenly opened up that as an option. Once we got here, it became really obvious that it was going to be pretty easy to find a place that would be tolerable for us. Like, we checked out some of the beach areas too, but like the area where you are, it's nice to visit, but I couldn't live there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, people say I want to go live by the beach, and then yeah, sometimes the heat, the humidity, it's definitely can be a rougher climate. But Costa Rica does have so many of those microclimates that can be a lot cooler. So I guess what are some of the areas that you guys had thought about before you chose your own, and then why did you end up settling in the area that you decided on?
Well, when we first came to the country, we landed in Cachi. We knew right away that we didn't want to stay there. It was beautiful there, but it was too close to the city. Yeah, it's right next to Cartago. It was a great little town, and everybody there was really, really friendly, but it was too close to the city, and it was a little bit too urban for us. We wanted acreage because we wanted to do homesteading, so we needed to go a little further out. We looked in the mountains around Turrialba, which was lovely there. It's around the same area, just a little bit further. What is that? South, west, east? It's east. Sorry.
East. Somewhere over there we go. There it is.
So like we right away knew we wanted to be in the mountains somewhere. So we looked in Turrialba. We looked around Lake Arenal because it has some really lovely properties too. The north end of Lake Arenal is less touristy, and the properties are a little more affordable. And my husband liked the idea of being around the lake because he sails. So we looked there. We had a really great real estate agent there. She showed us quite a few properties, but we also wanted to look in the south too because the property prices in the very south are very low. We liked the idea of being close to the border to make things like border runs really easy. And the temperatures there in the mountains are really good. Like we're at 3,600 feet right now. And it's usually ranges, we're Canadian, so we do everything in Celsius, between about 16 degrees in the nighttime to about 25, 26 degrees during the day, like year round. So it's kind of perfect for us. So those are the areas we checked out, but it was all the mountain areas that we were looking at.
Okay, so it sounds like it's in the 60s and 70s.
So it's temperate for people who think about Costa Rica and all they think about is just sweating their bags off on the beach, right? Because you can do that, but in the mountains it's more temperate, and that makes it easier for doing things like the homesteading because nobody wants to be digging a garden out in 36-degree weather, right?
That's true. That's true.
The properties here were a lot cheaper than just about anywhere else in the country, which was an also big factor.
Perfect. And so you guys ended up over here in this Agua Buena area.
See.
Perfect. And how are you liking it there? What do you feel like? What's the community? What's the lifestyle like?
So the community is beautiful. The people here are super friendly. We've made a ton of friends. Actually, it was funny because when we first came here, we didn't speak Spanish. We are learning, but we came here with very little Spanish, and we figured we'd be pretty isolated because of that, especially in this area because it's relatively undiscovered mostly. There's no tourists here, right? Like there's no tourism in this area at all. So these are all just local farmers mostly. So it is pretty isolated. We have access to everything. Like there's a hospital 10 kilometers down the road and all the hardware stores you could ask for. But everybody's kind of just minds their own business and sticks to their own stuff. So we figured we'd be kind of isolated when we got here, but as it turns out, everybody's so friendly. We have a social calendar that I can't even manage.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of the neighbors are super friendly. They're always willing to help out. Everybody's been really good about pitching in and making us feel welcome. So it actually ended up being a real godsend coming here because yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better community. Part of the reason it's kind of isolated, I don't know, for anybody who doesn't know the history of San Vito, it's about 10 kilometers up the road. About 60 years ago, the Costa Rican government put out an initiative to it was mostly just jungle here, right? Like we're right by Amistad Park.
Mm-hmm.
So it was mostly all just that in this whole area. And about 60 years ago, the Costa Rican government put out an initiative to try to bring settlers into this area of the country. And a whole pile of Italians decided to move over from Italy and settle this area because they were going to get free land for it. So there's actually a ton of Italians around here and the best Italian food in the country, which was a big selling point for us because we love Italian food.
That is so cool. I didn't know that. I had no idea that happened.
Yeah, there's so if you go into town to like the farmers market on Saturday and whatnot, you'll actually meet some people who were part of the original settlers when they came here, just old Italian people. Some of them only speak Italian still.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool actually. But what it means also is that this area is still, it's kind of populated by pioneering types, right? Like it's a little more rugged here. You have to travel more for the things that you need. So it's not for everybody. It's certainly not for people who come with an expectation of what they think Costa Rica is going to be like, because it's not like that. It's quite a bit different here. It is farming community here. So you have to be willing to live like that, which is fine for us. That's what we were looking for, right? But I mean, they still have buses and everything, but you definitely have to travel more and you have to be a little more self-sufficient in this area than you would closer to the city or in the more tourist hubs, right? But it's also, it feels safer, right? Like we've been here almost a year and we haven't had any trouble at all. So it's good. We really like it. We came from a country area in Canada. So this is a lot like that for just being quiet and friendly.
Like that, just in a different language.
Yes. That's the hard part for us. I mean, we're learning, but it's slow. We're old, so it's hard.
Well, that's understandable. It looks like you have a little airport. Does this little airport work?
Sometimes we'll hear like little, what is it, ultralight. There's a little ultralight that we hear flying around on weekends. It's literally just an airstrip. I don't even know if there's a tower. So I think it's for private use mostly. I've never seen any kind of charter plane fly into there at all. I think the closest one where you could get a commuter flight is Golfito.
Oh, okay. And that's not that far. So
No.
would you say, at least, everyone's different in what they need. Are you able to get most of your things that you need in San Vito? And if not, do you go down to the border to Paso Canoas to get those other things? Or is there another location that you usually go to?
We can get most of what we need, even like San Vito or even Agua Buena has some grocery store, a big BAM there. So we can get a lot of stuff there too. we go down to Paso Canoas for a few of the things that are not commonly found here. So things like cheese, because we're huge cheese fans, and Costa Ricans don't do cheese. Not really.
Different kinds of cheeses.
Yeah. So
Not
we
the
go down to Paso Canoas to get things like cheddar cheese and like some of our bulk stuff too, because it is cheaper there. Rice and pasta and olive oil. So we'll go down maybe once a month or every month or two and get like a big bulk buy for some things, and then but our everyday stuff we can get here, no problem. We have a grocery store 800 meters up the road, so it's not
Oh,
hard to
yeah.
find. And there's
That makes sense.
got to be 20 hardware stores.
I'll bet. I mean, everyone with their farms, they need lots of hardware stores.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so down here, the border, I know, well, the border can be a very hectic place, but it does have a lot of things. And, in the past, I used to go down there to bulk up on items too, because it was actually cheaper.
Yeah. We're close to La Union, where we also go to get gas because it's cheaper there too.
Well, great. And then what would you say is your, like, I would call this a lower cost of living area. Now that you guys have been living there, is that something that you agree with?
For most things. Since we have to travel more for a lot of things, so travel costs are a little bit higher, right? But they're not extraordinary. We plan well so that we can do one trip and get a whole bunch of things at once. So that cuts costs down. Things like furniture. We ended up driving up to San Jose to buy the furniture to equip our house. Most of it, like these things we got in town, but they were expensive. And I know the bed we bought in San Jose, I saw the exact same bed in a Grupo Materiales in San Vito, and it was twice the price. So stuff like that, it costs more. I think probably because of what it takes to get it down here, right? Everybody that needs anything here has to bring it from San Jose. So it's going to end up costing more. So, but like food, what we eat mostly whole foods. So like we have friends up the road that have cows. He brings me milk, right? And we have our own chickens. So we take care of our own eggs. And we grow a ton of food on the property here. I've made a bunch of Hugo culture beds for vegetables. And we already had a bunch of fruit trees on the property. So most of our food, we kind of take care of ourselves. Or we'll buy local meat and vegetables. So that all that stuff is way cheaper, right? So we don't have problems with that. We don't eat a lot of, other than the cheese we get from the border, we don't eat a lot of imported foods because most of what we like is fresh. So it ends up being, yeah, the cost of living, especially compared to Canada, is ridiculous, right? Like my hydro bill, we call it hydro because I'm used to that, but the electricity bill here last month was $35, like
That's
Canadian dollars for us, right? It's ridiculous. So definitely a lot better.
Well, that's wonderful. So you're telling me a little bit about what you have going on there. So I guess we could talk a little bit about the homesteading. So maybe for someone who doesn't know what that is, could you explain what that is and kind of what setup you have going on there?
It's basically trying to be as self-sufficient as possible, right? Like part of the reason we moved down here is because we were starting to be concerned about things like supply chain issues, right? And sustainability for our lifestyle. In Canada, you can only grow food 3 or 4 months of the year because of all the snow, right? So we wanted to be able to grow our own food and mostly only rely on ourselves for the things that we need. So a place where you can do that year round, it was really important. So we wanted a property where we could just grow our own food and have our own animals. We don't have anything big. We plan to get goats because I would like to make our own cheese. So we'll have goats for that. And the chickens for eggs. We're happy to source other meat from around here, but it's pretty cheap anyway, so that's fine. We've got bananas, plantains, avocados, at least a dozen citrus trees of all varieties. I've got passion fruit, cacao, blackberries. I put in Hugo culture beds, so I've got tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, garlic, peppers, all kinds of squash, cabbages. and lettuce and carrots all growing in there that I've put in. Oh my God, I'm probably missing at least a half a dozen other things, but I can literally, oh, we got chayote growing here and a bunch of squash. So I literally will get up every morning and I'll walk around and just pick some food for the day. And love sharing pictures of that and video of it. I have a YouTube channel where I'm putting homesteading videos where I talk about that, where I'll share our meals that we get from our own land here, right? It's really satisfying to go and pick your own food and then cook it. You sit down and you eat it, and you've done all of that. You've grown it all yourself, right? So that's the main thing. I'm working on making us off grid. We can't do that completely because with YouTube channels we need our internet, but things like power generation, I've built a hot water heater, like a sun heated hot water heater for the roof. And we're going to do water collection too for things like irrigation and the chickens and stuff. So we're working on all of that, just trying to get as off grid as we can and mostly source all of our own things.
That is so neat. And I guess it's fun. You got all these fun projects to do and tinkering around to do on the property. And
Yeah.
that must be incredible to, like, you see the plant growing and then to the point where you're actually going to, eat that. And I think, a lot of people maybe have dreamed of doing that. So I think that's just a really neat lifestyle that you guys.
The good thing is it's super easy to do here. Like you can literally stick anything in the ground and it'll start to grow here. It's incredible to me. I found it. That was one of the things that I found the most astonishing is like the caña trees. When you cut them down, you just stick them in the ground to make a fence and then the fence starts growing. So I've never seen a tree do that before.
You're right. I think those fences are so cool and they're beautiful because if you're ever in Costa Rica, you drive around, you'll see them everywhere. You'll see fences aren't made out of these picture perfect little posts. It's like pieces of a tree that someone plopped in the ground and then
it started growing again.
So you'll have the fence line of trees, which can be really beautiful. And that's, yeah.
It is. It's very cool. So, and I mean, my youngest daughter, she's 20. She's living here with us. It's temporary for her because she has a life to get to. But for now, she's living with us and she loves like planting the vegetables and helping out around the property. So it's been really good for her too, because she's learning how to build a life that she can take care of herself, right? And not have to feel helpless, right? If the grocery store is closed.
Exactly. No, that's really important. I think a lot of people have thought of that over these last few years for sure. But you guys went and acted on it. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, our original plan was to do that in Northern Ontario. Like way back, we thought, we'll just go 500 kilometers north of Thunder Bay and build something in the forest up there. But as we started getting older, we realized that's a lot of snow to clear. It's tough to do. I'd rather deal with the rain. So
true. And the rain, it's like a happy rain. I've had people say, it's not depressing at all because everything's so green and beautiful when it rains. It's a nice thing. And you guys do get more rain down there compared to other parts of the country, being down in that south area, almost to the, Osa Peninsula area.
Yeah, we don't do too bad here. We're just on the west side of the mountain range. So more of the rain falls on the east side near Limon province. But we get our fair share, that's for sure. But I do think they get more on the other side of the mountains than we do. But I think we get more than you do.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, I think you do. I'm in the Central Pacific. Even the South Pacific, I noticed gets, that just gets more down there. What are some, I guess, I don't know, do you guys have any cool day trips or things that you've enjoyed doing around the area? Or what have been your favorites maybe?
Yep. Well, we like going to the beach sometimes. We like Playa Ventanas. I shared a video a couple of weeks ago on your Facebook where we went to Playa Ventanas. It's a nice, quiet, sort of relatively undiscovered beach. We sometimes go to Uvita. It's a little bit further to go there, but we don't love tourists a lot. So we try to avoid the really touristy areas. The good thing is all of our local friends here, they have all the insight on the kind of out of the way places that nobody knows about unless you know somebody. right? So they love hiking too. So we've found quite a few very cool hidden waterfalls, places. We like hiking, so we haven't had a lot of time to do a bunch of that since we moved in because we've got a bunch of renovations going and setting up the farm. But we definitely plan to do more of that. I'd like to go see next month. We plan to go see Baru in Panama because we have to do a border run anyway. So we're going to go visit the volcano while we're there. So that'll be nice. And we have to check out Amistad. We haven't done that yet, but it is definitely on the plans. There's more to do here if you're happy to forge your way forest, right? Like there's not a lot of organized tourist attractions here. So if you're looking for something like La Fortuna, we stayed there for a little while, and there's like a bazillion things you can do there, all organized tours and stuff, and they're great, but there's not a lot of that here. You kind of have to make your own way. But the good thing is you get to discover a lot of things that you're not weeding through dozens of people to get there, right? You're kind of by yourself on the trail, that's the way we like it. So
Exactly. Like, it might be that you met someone in the community and they have this amazing thing on their property and they said, oh, come to our house one day. And then they show you all the, that's when I lived up in the mountains above Vita. Yeah, there wasn't touristy things to do up there. I just kind of walked around and found stuff.
Yeah.
You find your things to do.
No, it's perfect that way, though. We like it that way. And it gives us an excuse to interact with a lot of the local people. And the good thing is they're all really super welcoming, right? Like everybody we meet, they're like, oh, give me your WhatsApp and we'll go have coffee or something together. So we've made dozens of friends since we bought our property here in January. And we moved in right at the beginning of February. So we've been here full time since then. And the number of people we know now that like almost every day we have a social engagement with somebody. So it's good though. They're all really super nice.
And that's great. Yeah. So you can move to a remote area, but if you put yourself out there and make friends, then, it's not necessarily that you're going to be alone, or you just got to, I notice people are very friendly in more rural, communities. I've lived in more rural communities as well. And it was actually really nice.
I think it's important, especially areas like this, if you're like them, right? Like, so we've met a few other Canadians down here. But most of the people we've met here are locals. They're Ticos, and all of them kind of express the same thing: is that there's the kind of immigrants they like, and then there's the kind of immigrants that they don't want here, and they discourage that, right? Like one of the gentlemen who gave us a tour around the area to show us, how things were. He said it was kind of an interview for me too, because he would have discouraged us from moving here if we were the kind of people that they didn't want to have here, right? Like they're not interested in making this into like a touristy area where you get a lot of transient traffic and a lot of people that just kind of bring their money and push their way around. So it's important in an area like this that you're like them, right? We're like that. We're happy to do things like locals. We're trying to learn the language. Asking a lot of questions, always really curious and friendly. And that's the kind of people that they like here, because that's the way they are. So I think that's part of the reason it's been really good for us is, we're happy to integrate. It was really important to us when we moved here that we were going to do that, because we didn't want to be those people. You know what I mean? Everybody knows the kind of people I'm talking about. They're everywhere, right? Like they're everywhere. There's people that kind of move to another country and they feel like they can just bring their whole old life with them and just transport it somewhere nicer and just keep living that way. And the people that come here, I think, like that, they're the ones that leave in the first year or two because they're disappointed that you can't live that way, right? Like it was a huge adjustment to move here. There's a lot of things we had to change and learn to live without, right? We have it pretty lucky because here, I know I see lots of things on the Facebook groups from people that complain about constant power outages and whatnot. We don't have those kinds of issues here. It's very rarely where we have power issues. But I think part of the reason is nobody has air conditioning here because they don't need it. right? Like in the hot areas, the air conditioning just sucks power out of the grid and it makes it go down all the time, I think. So
It
we don't
could
have
be.
that kind of problem here. But like there's a lot of adjustments that you still have to make. And if you're willing to make those, then this is a fabulous place to live, right? Like it's every sacrifice has been worth it for sure.
That's so good to know. It sounds like if the place is already in alignment with how you want to live, then the community is pretty accepting. But I understand their point. I mean, I guess if someone wants to move down and live remotely somewhat like they used to, there are areas they can go do that, you know? And it sounds like for this community, that's not a community. They don't want that blowing up and becoming some hot spot of Costa Rica that you got to move here. So it's going to keep it laid back. And
well, for the local sake too, right? That
of
makes
course,
things more expensive, right? It makes things busier.
big time.
It starts to interfere with their lives, and I can understand why they don't want that. Like you're not going to find gated communities here, so people that are looking for stuff like that, it's a waste of time to come down here because you're not going to find it. But it's good because if you're like us and you don't really want to live in an area that's filled with gated communities, then it's good here because you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of places in Costa Rica that can suit a lot of different styles of living, and that's nice. And if you want to be in a gated community but still in cooler temperatures, you can look around the Central Valley. Or if you want to live in a more mountainous town, where I remember I used to ride my horse down, you know, we used to ride the horses down to the neighbors and have bread and coffee with them and then ride home afterwards. Like you can go do that too. So
that's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Those were good times. But no, that there's, and I do that climate very lovely too. You're kind of making me miss it actually a little bit right now.
Oh. Yeah, it's good. My husband really couldn't survive it if it was much hotter than it is. It's especially, like I said, doing work on the property. We have almost 3 acres. And managing that as a farm would be next to impossible if it was really, really hot. So it's kind of perfect where we are. We're sort of on the top of a mountain, so I have a really beautiful view of the Baru volcano.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, from our rancho. So you can't really beat that. I get up every morning and I take a picture of the sunrise just because every morning I still feel grateful that I'm here. I turn to my husband all the time and say, I can't believe we get to live here.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I was going to ask you how big the property was. So, and sounds like you picked a really good one for what you guys were looking for.
Yeah, we got really lucky. We looked at a lot, right? There's a lot down here. And there's lots of empty land too for people who like to build, but building down here would be a little bit costly just for transportation costs. We did look at that as well as an option, but I wasn't that interested in spending a lot of time with contractors. I'm a do-it-yourselfer, so all of our renovations I'm doing myself. So I wasn't interested in dealing with a contractor in order to live. We wanted something that was kind of ready, but we did look at it. And it is available, but it is a little bit more costly to build down here than it would be to just get something that's ready made. And a lot of the houses here are Tico houses. Like our house it's wood. It's a wood cabin. So it is a lot more rustic here than what a lot of people are looking for. But if you're looking for something like that, right? Like if you want just a quiet, rustic little farm, the prices down here are incredible. You couldn't beat them. And the people are amazing. So I would definitely recommend it for anybody who wants to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's perfect. And so I know you said you had a YouTube channel, and I wanted to look for it to pull it up. And I'm also going to have the link in the description below so other people can follow along at what you're doing. How would I find that if I just search in YouTube? What's the name of the channel?
A Ginger in the Wild.
All right. Oh, it's going to be so much fun to look at. Okay, make sure that's on mute. So great. So this is exciting. So people want to check out to see what they're up to. I'm on the right channel, right?
Oh, there's me welding. Yes. Welding. I had to teach myself how to weld because when we moved here, all my renovations that I did back home, I rebuilt our house because we had a house fire in Canada, but it's all wood construction. I've been like a carpenter, right? But when I got here, it's like, oh, we don't build with wood. We build with metal. Well, I've never built with metal before, so I had to teach myself how to weld so that I could I'm building an apartment on the back of our rancho for my husband and I, like we want to have a nice master suite. So I had to teach myself how to weld so I could put that together.
That is so fun. That is
It
so
is good
cool.
though, but this is a testament to the kind of people that we have here because
Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
that's okay. I got to one of the hardware stores. I made friends with one of the gents there who speaks good English. So he's been very helpful and he's been amazing. He's taught me all kinds of things. He's the one who started me out. He says, "Oh, well, you can weld yourself. Why don't you just do it yourself?" So, and he got me all the equipment set up and gave me all kinds of advice. So that's the kind of people that are here though, right? Like he's like, "Oh, this is what you need to start learning how to weld and here's my WhatsApp. So if you have any questions how to do it, just message me." It's been great. They've been amazing.
That is so cool. I'm going to
Yeah.
have to take a look at your channel and see what you've been up to. It looks like you have a lot of very exciting, fun things on there. And you figured out how to do those shorts. I don't know how to do YouTube shorts. Look at that.
I can't say that I love them, but
Falling behind on technology.
I've been practicing. Yeah. I don't know if I suck at TikTok too. So, but
I can barely keep up with Instagram and Facebook. So I'm just not trying to learn anything new right now.
Me too.
And my own channel is like, I'm just busy.
Yeah.
Well, this was wonderful. I guess, well, do you have any advice for someone who would want to, well, I guess, yeah, move to Costa Rica and potentially homestead? What are maybe some, I'm not putting you on the spot. So if you have
that's okay.
If there was 3 things that you would really want that person to know if they wanted to come to this country and start that process, what are the top 3 things that you guys learned that you'd want someone to know?
The first thing is come here with the attitude that you don't know anything, because you really don't until you get here. And it's a huge learning curve. But it's great because the people here are good enough and friendly enough that if you have the right attitude, they can give you a nice soft landing, and it is easy to learn how to live here, right? You just have to have the right attitude for it. That's the number one thing I'd say, because that has been our biggest survival mechanism is just walking into every place we go with the attitude that we don't know anything, and we're here to learn from the locals how to do things, right? Also, don't neglect the interiors of the country. There's so much to see here. Everybody comes to Costa Rica and they all picture the same thing, right? A white sand beach and some palm trees. And there's plenty of that here, but there's lots of people that'll come here thinking they can live in that. And then they realize it's like 36 degrees and they're miserable and they leave. The interiors of the country can be really, really beautiful, and the temperatures can be very mild. So there are places here where you can live if you don't care about the heat, right? Like if you don't, I have friends that love the heat, right? I have a friend that moved to Limon province and she's like, I refuse to be cold. So, and she's perfectly happy like that, but that wouldn't be for us. But lots of people don't even realize that exists. We didn't until we came across it. And it's been a godsend for us. Third thing. Oh my goodness.
It's okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Just I wake up every morning just looking for the next thing to enjoy about life here. There's so much, right? Like especially if you want to do things yourself, everybody here does everything themselves, right? Like they don't hire out. But it means they're happy to teach you. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer like I am, it's a dream come true, right? Because everybody knows how to do everything and they're happy to teach you. So it works out really good.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that you've come to people with the attitude of, I'm here to learn, and they're already friendly. So they just see your open curiosity, wanting to learn. So yeah, I do find Costa Ricans to be very helpful, of course. But if you come to them with that right attitude. And then just another point that you made, again, of just like choosing the area, it's something that we help a lot with our clients. And some of them say, I don't want to live by the beach. I would love to go visit it sometime, but I have no desire to live in that heat. Like I just can't handle it. So, I guess if you're someone new and watching this video, there are areas of Costa Rica that exist that are really comfortable. I mean, when I go up to San Jose, I bring my sweatpants, my fuzzy socks, like my sweatshirt. Like I got to get the whole thing going. Yeah, well, that's because,
Wow.
from the beach, so, I mean, well, okay, but a normal human wouldn't need to come into San Jose with all those things.
Yeah, yeah.
But someone who's been living on the beach like I have, yeah, I got to come with the whole shebang.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, it definitely is possible. And choosing the area is very important. So yeah, if you are someone who's expecting gated communities or access to things very quickly, if you land in the wrong area of Costa Rica, you may not enjoy your experience.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys probably would not enjoy your experience in Tamarindo, maybe if you choose there to move, you'd be like, what is all this going on? This is not quiet. It's really important that you do choose a place that's in alignment with your values, your lifestyle,
Yeah.
what's important to you and your budget
The
too.
good thing is there's so many choices in Costa Rica. You can kind of cover any of that. Whatever you want, you can find it here. That's what we noticed from our travels through the country
Mm-hmm.
is you can have just about any kind of lifestyle you want if you can afford it, right?
Uh-huh.
Like I couldn't afford to live on the beach even if I liked the heat, right? It's too expensive for
Some
us, right?
areas, yeah, some areas for sure. But then
But
even then, there's some affordable places. You never know.
mhm. Well, I mean, the biggest lesson is you come here for the Pura Vida. You have to incorporate that as an attitude. It really is a lifestyle here,
Yeah.
right? And that's been hard for me. I'm a go 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 go, right? Like I wake up and I have a to-do list that's 30 things long,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I don't like waiting for anything. Can get very impatient. So it was a big learning curve for me when we came here. I knew when we came that I would have to adjust that. I
Mm-hmm.
already accepted it. And we decided because we're retired, so let's just tone it down a notch and take your time. And it's actually not been as hard as I thought it was going to be to incorporate that. The people make it easy too because they're all so good about it. I've just decided, no, we could wait till tomorrow if it's raining today. Like
Yeah.
today, I should be welding today, but I can't because I'll get electrocuted in the rain.
Sure. Yeah, you can almost like apply it to your own life, which is great. It's that people aren't maybe expecting so much of you either living here in a
Yeah.
way. So it's almost you maybe don't expect certain things from them, and they also don't expect those certain things from you, which can be kind of nice to give yourself a little break as well.
Yeah, making friends with the locals helped for that. It We tried really hard to avoid a lot of expats. Not because there's anything all wrong with expats, but we left Canada because we wanted a different lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was important to us that we kind of sort of removed ourselves from the influence of where we came from, at least for a little while, so
Yeah.
that we could do a better job of incorporating the new cultural attitudes. And it really did help. And we've met a lot of Canadians down here, but they're a lot like us, right? So
Exactly.
it's easy to incorporate that new attitude shift because we all kind of have the same goals. So I think that's when we first were researching to come down here. My husband, one of the first, he does a lot of research and he's very, very careful. He's super conservative he doesn't like change, right? So for him, he wanted to make sure he got all his ducks in a row. And the first thing he looked for is what are the top reasons why people move to Costa Rica and then leave,
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted to know what's the bad things. So everybody will tell you all the good stuff, right? And when we started looking at the lists, the things were things that we already kind of dealt with or didn't care about anyway. Like family is a big deal for us, so that was the hardest one for us. But a lot of people left because they didn't like having to drive distances to get things because things weren't convenient. But we already lived in the country in Canada. We already kind of lived like that, so that wasn't a big switch for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? They didn't like the kind of relaxed attitude that a lot of the locals had, but for us, that's what we were looking for. We wanted a more relaxed life, so it it started to become clear that the things that turned a lot of people away weren't going to be a problem for us. So um, that helped make the decision easy for
Yeah.
sure. So, and that's the thing. A lot of people come down here just thinking they can live a life that's like a permanent vacation. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really like that. Not
No.
unless you're really, really wealthy and you can afford it. But for
Yeah.
most people, you can live like that for a week or two. But then after that, you got to find something to do.
Yeah, you got to
So,
settle into what your routine's going to look like. Like I
mm-hmm.
live a pretty normal person life. I work during the day, get my daughter from school. Like I do probably a lot of the same things that someone would do in North America, or if I lived in North America. But what I do with my time off, I think, is a whole lot different, and that's what I enjoy so much. I got the beach. Things are just more laid back. There's friendly people everywhere. For them, me, that makes such a huge difference. Like constantly encountering friendly people everywhere I go. Like I don't even remember when I really encounter anyone unfriendly. It's very, very rare, to the point that I can't even really remember.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, I think, makes a huge quality in your life. People just being around happy people.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And people that are happy to leave you alone, right? Like they mind their own business and you do you, right? That's the way we like things. So it's been pretty good down here.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that attitude. People are just, as long as you're not hurting yourself or other people, people really don't care what you're doing. They don't care what you're wearing. They don't care like what you're driving. Like, it's really nice. And I feel like for me, that's like a type of freedom too, to almost just feel like you're in a community of people that, I guess aren't judgmental or just more open-minded, and just those things aren't as valued. Let's put it that way.
Definitely.
Nice.
I mean, we're all adults, right?
Yeah.
I like being treated like an adult. For a lot of years in Canada, I started feeling like the community as a whole and like the general political attitude was that I was a child that needed to be managed. That was never appealing for me. I'm pretty, like I said, I'm pretty self-sufficient, right? I can build a shed. I don't need a permit, right? Like I don't need a permit for a 10-foot shed. Or at least I don't like asking for permission for things like that. So a place like this where it's kind of like, just build what you want. If it falls on you, that's your problem, right? Like I find I've made a joke with some of my family and friends about how the Costa Rican attitude tends to be, well, if it breaks or it falls on you, that's sort of your problem, right?
Yeah, like you're the one who built it. Yeah, like you can deal with whatever consequences of your actions. Like, sure, do that thing if that's what you want to do. But yeah.
So and that's good for me. I like having that kind of freedom, right? I like that my neighbors respect that kind of freedom. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more of that down here than we found in other places in the country. But as a general rule, the bar of that behavior was a lot higher than it was in North America where we came from. So there's not a lot of busybodies here.
It's true. Very,
so
very
that's
true.
Good.
Well, is there any last things you'd like to share before we head off here? I really appreciate all of the information and telling us about your homestead. And is there a way, like, let's say if someone was interested in doing what you're doing, are you open to people being in touch with you, or would you just like them to just more watch the videos and they can follow you guys there?
Sure. Yeah, they can get in touch with me. I believe I have an email address on my YouTube channel. If not, then you're always welcome to leave comments. I'm very laissez-faire about the comment policy there. So if anybody had questions, they could leave comment asking there, and we could exchange contact information. I'm on your Facebook group too. My name is Theresa Herod. I know it says Ginger there because that's my YouTube name, but I'm on your Facebook group, so people could always message me there too if they wanted to. I'm definitely open to answering questions for anybody who's looking for information about especially about the area, because it is a beautiful area and it is fairly still unsettled. So there's definitely lots of room here for people who are interested in that kind of lifestyle. And I would like to at least say for everybody who's watching, Sarah Lena helped us settle here. It's been your help was amazing for us. It really made us feel a lot more comfortable coming down here. And the contacts you gave us really made our transition to buying property here a lot easier. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, if anyone's watching who doesn't know, I have a relocation company and we help people with their relocation. So, I mean,
we got a ton of really good advice and information. And like I said, the contacts you gave us helped with our property search a lot. So that certainly made things a lot easier too. It's important to make the right contacts here, because a lot of horror stories from people that move here are from people who just kind of wing it. And then they get in touch with people who are not reputable, and they are bad actors, and they get taken advantage of. And it was really important to us that we try to do what we can to avoid that. So your contacts that were pre-vetted definitely were a huge win for our process, because it made things a lot easier and made us feel a lot safer.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Yep. We always want to avoid bad things happening and just make you guys feel comfortable. And if you ever have more questions, we're still here. So
Oh, I still send them.
exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah, but yeah, anybody who has questions, they can certainly contact me. That's not a problem.
Great. So I will have your YouTube link in the bottom. And I did look in the about section of your YouTube channel, and you can, prove that you're not a robot to see the email address. So
okay.
Perfect. So yeah, if anyone would like to get in touch with Theresa, then you can check out her channel. That'll be down here in the description. And then of course, if you want to talk about your relocation, you can book a call with me. If my calendar looks very full, people can always email me if they say, hey, I really need to talk. It's more urgent. I can usually fit someone in the same week. So this has been really great information, and I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh,
I'm happy to share my happy ending.
Yay!
You got in at the beginning. It was nice to share with you where we ended up, or at least, I mean, we haven't ended up yet. It's only beginning now, but
yeah. And if you want to send me some photos of the farm, I can also.
Sure.
That'd be great. I would love to see some photos and can incorporate them in here.
In the next couple of days, I'll be putting up a video. I've taken some drone footage and a bunch of video footage of everything we've done on the farm. So I'll be putting up a video in the next couple of days that is a bit of a tour of the farm. So
perfect. All right. Well, thanks again. I think when I hit end here, it'll just end, but let's see.
Okay.
End broadcast.